Welcome to You're Not Crazy, It's Perimenopause. If you're a woman over 40 and feeling more anxious, not sleeping well, or disconnected from your body, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Jenny Smith, functional medicine health coach, here to help you understand what the heck is happening in perimenopause. Each week, we're diving into real-life conversations about how our changing hormones impact anxiety, sleep, and stress, and I'll share simple strategies to help you feel normal again. So grab a cup of tea or beverage of choice, get comfy, and let's dive in. Welcome back. Today, I am talking about something that it came to me in my previous episode with Dr. Liz. I had Dr. Liz on last week to share more about love and relationships and how our relationships can shift as we get older and especially as we enter into perimenopause. And I was thinking, I had brought up my mom in the episode and I haven't really shared much about what she went through. And I thought, I want to come on here and talk a little bit about my mom's journey and what I gather happened. And I don't know for sure because my mom passed away in 2006 from breast cancer. And I can't ask her today what exactly was going on with her at that time. But I have my general knowing of that, just knowing her, knowing what I know now that I'm 50, officially now in my 50s, in my 50 era. I have an idea of maybe some of the things that she had gone through, considering what I've gone through personally, and maybe what other women are going through. And I think that this episode can be really helpful for women who are struggling and who might feel like they've lost themselves in life, in responsibilities, in caregiving, in parenthood, careers. So I want to spend some time talking about that today. Before I go further, I have to make an announcement that if you hear me with a lisp, I just got aligners on my teeth and I've had braces twice now. I had braces when I was in junior high and after my pregnancies, my bottom teeth shifted again. So I ended up having braces again. And I didn't realize the retainers that they make now stretch. So you're supposed to be getting a new retainer, I think, every 6 months or something like that. Well, I didn't get that memo and I don't have an orthodontist that I see. So my teeth shifted and they've been bugging me, like not just vanity reasons, but like it hurts and I could feel that they're just not in alignment. And when I go to bite down, it bothers me. So to make a long story short, I am now, instead of braces, I'm doing aligners. So very similar to Invisalign, I found a company that does aligners for a very affordable cost. And I will be wearing these things for the next 3 months. So hopefully I can get used to speaking without spitting or sounding like I have a lisp. Okay, let's move along. So like I had mentioned, my conversation with Dr. Liz last week really sparked something in me to do another episode specifically on women who lose themselves in caring for others. So this episode isn't about my mom as much as it is about the thousands of women who may see themselves in her story. So my mom was such a good mom. She was a stay-at-home mom. She took care of my brother and I. She had dinner on the table every night at 5 o'clock. She was a good daughter to her parents. She was a great wife to my dad. She took care of the home. We had a very clean home, probably a little bit more OCD than my brother and I would have liked. But she took a lot of pride in being a mom to my brother and I. She got married to my dad at 18. She met him when she was 16. So she was very young. And I think she was 23 when she had me. So she was working a job. And after she had me, she quit to stay home to care for me. And I think that was very common in the 70s. Not all women, but many women stayed home. And she gave so much of herself to us. And I noticed that as my brother and I started to get older, that she was feeling a little lost in, okay, well, if I'm not caring for my kids because they're busy and they're never home, then what am I doing? Because my dad, he traveled for work, so he was only home on the weekends. And I think she was like at that pivotal time of her life where there was this change that was happening. And we mentioned it a little bit in the episode last week about empty nest and how many women struggle with it, especially if they've given their entire lives to their family and their kids. And I noticed that my mom was starting to become a little bit more independent and finding herself. She started working outside of the home. And my dad, I love him so much. And, he's been gone now for 14 years. And he worked a lot. And when he was home, he was tired. So he was gone all week. And then he'd come home on the weekends and didn't want to go out or do anything or travel. If you've heard the episode with Dr. Liz, you might have remembered where I said my parents went out once a year for their anniversary. They went out to a nice dinner once a year. And their connection, they just didn't have anything where they were together doing things together as a couple. So I think my mom kind of just got lost. And as a result, empty nest was very difficult for her. She also struggled with anxiety, at least in her early adulthood. I don't know if she did as a child. I wish I could go back and ask her. But I remember her when I was in kindergarten, she couldn't leave the house because she had panic attacks. Her anxiety was so bad. So my grandma had to step in and take care of us a lot while she was going through that. And then it got better because she was treating it with medications. I think medications were making it easier for her to get out of the house. And the anxiety is in our family. So her sister had it. I think my grandma was dealing with it. I have dealt with anxiety, and my brother has dealt with anxiety. And it's a big part. It's a big component of my family system. And looking back now, and it triggered something in me when I was talking to Dr. Liz, and she was talking about her Gigi, her grandma, divorced her grandpa when she was 42, and my mom was 46 when my parents divorced. And so I'm looking back, I'm wondering how much perimenopause had magnified what she was already experiencing. I am sure it had something to do with it, but I don't know for sure because I can't, it's just knowing my mom and knowing the stage of life she was in and knowing that she was struggling already with an anxiety disorder, that perimenopause on top of it could have contributed to a lot of her sadness and pain and what she was struggling with in her life, in that time of her life. My mom passed away at the age of 52 from breast cancer. So 6 years after her and my dad had divorced, she had passed away. She found a lump 2 years before she was diagnosed. And I think she was really scared. And had she addressed it sooner, I think maybe treatment could have helped. But, we can't live in the what ifs or should haves. And if she had only, she was scared. It was a lot to take in. She was alone. She didn't have insurance. And cancer is my belief that some cancers are genetic, some cancers are environmental. Many cancers are environmental. I think my mom, she was a smoker. She didn't exercise. She was stressed. I think a lot of those things weighed on her. Metabolically, it weighed on her. I also think that because she had suppressed her own dreams and goals in life, that she had a lot of sadness in her heart. And I do think that that often can contribute to diseases that show up in our body. So the word disease is dis-ease. So we have a dis-ease in our body, like we are not feeling right. So the reason I am talking about this today is that if my mom was here, I wish I can go back and tell her that she is worthy and deserves to live out her dreams and to do what she wants to do and to be able to balance both of it, all of it, raising a family, being a caretaker to her kids and her parents and her husband, and also having time for herself. And to make that time for herself, that she is just as important, and tending to herself and caring for her is just as important as it is for caring for her loved ones. And I think so many of us women get caught up in the roles of motherhood and being a wife, and so many of us out there are also juggling careers. I have good friends that are working their butts off, making really good money and trying to balance it all. And it's hard. It's so hard. And just kind of being torn with what is right and what I should be doing. And I think the message that I want to share with you today is that if you're feeling this way, if you're feeling like, I don't even know what I want anymore, or who am I if I'm not caring for my kids? If you are in a season of life where I'm at right now, where my daughter is going to graduate high school, my son is never home. If he's not at football, he's hanging out with his friends. There is that I'm in that season where my kids are drifting away, and not that they're going to be gone from me, but that they're drifting into adulthood, which is how it should be, right? They need less of us. They need less of our attention. And that has been really difficult for me as I'm going through that right now. And I'm thinking about my mom when she went through that with us, how sad that must have been when her whole life was caring for her kids and her family. And many women are feeling that way, that they're spending years taking care of others and they don't even have the energy to care for themselves because they have put so much into other people and caring for others. Their jobs, showing up to their jobs and trying to be 100% at work right now when you're dealing with hormonal changes and transitions. Like, this is a season of rest. We should be spending more time resting. And it's difficult to rest when life is just trucking along and we're expected to keep at the pace that we've always been at with our careers and our families and our friends and our relationships. And this is a season where we have so many transitions. We're going through perimenopause or into menopause. We have aging parents and they're getting sick and they're needing more of our attention. We have teenagers who are getting ready to leave the nest. You might be juggling the same demands of your career or maybe even considering a career change. Your relationship might be on the fritz and you're considering divorce or separation. And many couples tend to drift away if their foundation is not strong in the 40s and 50s. It's tough. There's a lot of relationship changes. And I really encourage you to go back and listen to the episode with Dr. Liz, episode 25, and how we talk about that and how to navigate that and what you can do to bring the spark alive. We need to tend to our relationships like we tend to our garden. We need to tend to ourselves like we tend to our kids. You also might be dealing with some new health concerns as you're getting older. You might be diagnosed with like a new condition, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. That can be weighing heavily on you too. It's like, wait, what the heck? I was like healthy and now all of a sudden I got all these other things. That can just really weigh on us and it can be a tremendous load. And how do we manage it all? How do we manage it all? And I want to challenge you to look at your life, take a step back, look at your life and identify all the areas that you are giving to others. And then identify the areas where you are giving to yourself. And examples like this would be, I'm prioritizing quiet time. I'm going to bed early. I'm making time for exercise, going on a walk, doing something fun for myself, going to have lunch with a friend, having a good conversation with a friend. What are some of the things that you're doing for you? Identify those areas and identify the areas where you're giving to others. Work, partnerships, children, parents, friends, even friends. Sometimes our friends can be taxing and demanding of us too, right? So it's a matter of what can I scale back so that if you are identifying that you're not tending to yourself like you are in other areas, what are some things that you can cut back on so that you can tend to yourself? Because you'll burn out. If you don't think you're going to burn out, it's going to show up in disease, dis-ease. It will show up in your body in some way. Oftentimes, any kind of pain we have in our body, any kind of health issue, it's a symptom of something underlying going on. And it's your body's way of saying, hey, I need you to pay attention. What is going on in your body that your body is saying, I need you to pay attention to me, to you? Think about what is happening. Just like we have to, do oil changes and tune-ups for our car, just like we have to take care of our kids and make sure they have food on the table. Just like, we charge our phone, we've got to charge our own batteries. We've got to make sure that we don't keep pouring from an empty cup because it will backfire on us. It's going to show up in ways if it hasn't already. And I really encourage you to think about that. Really think deeply about that. What's going on with you where you notice that might be showing up, where disease might be showing up in your body because of something that you're neglecting that needs some tender, loving care. So what are some ways that you can take care of yourself again? And this isn't a matter of like reinventing yourself. It's simply just reconnecting to yourself and start small. You guys know that I am a big believer in small, tiny changes because that is what leads to big results, because it's the easiest thing to stay consistent with when you start small. If you do this like big thing, then it's going to be harder to follow through on because it's too much, especially if you have a full plate. Especially if you have so much on your to-do list, you've got to really start small. So here's some ideas. 5 minutes a day. Maybe you have your morning coffee outside. I love starting my day outside. I get up in the morning, I have coffee, and I put on my shoes, and I take my dogs out for a walk, and it is the perfect time of day. It's quiet. The birds are chirping. It just feels so good to start the day outside with fresh air. It's just one of my favorite ways to start the day. And if you've worked with me before or you've followed any of my reels on social media, exposing your eyeballs to light outside within 20 minutes of waking sets your circadian rhythm. And what that means is you'll get amazing sleep that night. So maybe it's sitting out on your porch and having coffee and listening to the birds. Sitting in quiet, just 5 minutes of quiet, no phones, no distractions, no TV, deep breathing. Box breath is my favorite. It's so simple to do box breathing, and you could do it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. That will really put you out of sympathetic nervous system into parasympathetic state. So parasympathetic is our calm and rest mode. Sympathetic is our go mode. It's our stress mode. That's not a good state to be in all the time. We want to get our body into rest and digest mode, which is the parasympathetic, and you can do that with deep breaths. So my box breath that I love to do is inhale for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and hold your breath for a count of 4. So you do it like in a shape of a box. Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. I love it. Just, a couple of repetitions of that, and you can immediately feel your body relax and calm down. Some other ideas would be praying, journaling, reading one chapter from a book, listening to music. Music is one of my favorites. I love listening to music, and I will put on my favorite songs when I'm meal prepping, when I'm doing dishes, like the tasks that I don't particularly enjoy, but if I put on good music, then it makes the activity way more enjoyable. Walking outside without your phone is another great idea. Not be distracted on your phone. Just pay attention to the sounds and the sights, what you see, the colors, what you hear. Stretching. Oh, stretching is so good. We've got to stay focused on our mobility. You know that saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. And stretching is really important to be able to bend over to tie our shoes, get up from sitting down in a chair. All those things are super important. And all of those things you can do in 5 minutes. Don't underestimate what 5 intentional minutes can do. And like a weekly activity would be to reconnect with people. We are social beings. We are designed to be in community. I am an introvert and I love my home, but I would probably go crazy if I didn't have people in my home. And I also really love a good phone call with a friend. Going out to coffee with a friend can really refuel you, fill your cup. Having lunch with a friend. If you belong to a church community, going to a church group, a Bible study, Book clubs. Oh, I was part of a book club a while back, and I would love to do a book club again. And if you are listening and you're interested in a book club, I think it'd be fun if we did like a virtual book club. But if I were to host a book club, it would probably be books on health and wellness, because that's that's my favorite ways. Like those are my favorite topics to read about, is like health and wellness, especially women's health. So let me know if you are interested in a book club, because maybe I'll start something. If I get enough interest, I will start a book club. If you are interested, email me at health@jensmith.coach and let me know. Another weekly event you can do is date night with your partner, getting out with them, having lunch with a family member, somebody that you want to reconnect with. Maybe it's been a while since you've talked to them. Humans, we need connection. So making sure that you find ways to stay connected with people that bring you joy, not drain you. There's a lot of people out there that will drain you. And how you know that is how you feel after. You just feel like, oh, I'm so exhausted. If you feel exhausted after hanging out with somebody, they're draining you. So you want to hang out with the people that you light up with when you're around, that you feel good inside about the conversations you're having, and just really nurturing those relationships is so important. Some ideas for a monthly way to reconnect with yourself is try something new. Taking a cooking class. I brought this up to my daughter the other day. I said, we have a cooking school not far from our house. And I said to my daughter, I've been wanting to take a class there. Would you want to go with me? And she said, yeah. And I haven't done it. I think the hardest part is just doing it, right? It's like, okay, well, we have the idea. It sounds really great, but okay, now we got to schedule it. That's the part that once you get it scheduled, then it's easy peasy and you're like, why didn't I do this sooner? Learning a new like sport or activity, pickleball is all the rage right now. My family and I love to play pickleball when we travel. And I told my husband, I said, we need to join a pickleball league. And again, it's not something we've done yet. Taking an art class, if you're a creative person, or even if you're not, just doing something to stretch your creativity a little bit and do something outside of the norm of what you're used to can be really fun. Taking a dance class or a dance lesson. Volunteering. Last year, my daughter and I volunteered for a dog rescue organization. It was so fun and I loved it so much. And we got away from it. Life got busy. She got a job. It's something that I would definitely love to go back to. I just love dogs. And it's such a need to find good volunteers for dog rescues. Plan a weekend away with your husband or your partner. Start a garden. That is one thing that my mom was really good at. And she loved to be outside in the garden. And she didn't start doing that until I think, after I was in college, and I noticed that she was really getting into flowers and planting flowers and just really loving it. And I think being out in nature and touching the soil, it's so therapeutic. Learning photography, going hiking, there's so many things out there. Thinking about like when you were a kid, what did you love to do? And do you think you would still love to do that? Like I love to sing, and I am not terrible, but I'm not like Erin Stewart. Erin Stewart's a singing coach that was on my podcast. She has a beautiful voice, so beautiful. And I don't have that kind of voice only because I obviously haven't trained. I think if I would have given in to that, like if I would have nurtured that when I was younger, who knows? Who knows where I would have been? I might have been on Broadway too, like Erin. But I just love singing. I enjoy it. It makes me happy and I love it so much. Like any of my good friends will tell you, karaoke's around, I will be up on the stage singing. I love it so much. So I've thought about like just even joining like a singing club or something like that, just to have something different as an outlet to express yourself and your creativity that's separate from what you're used to doing, that's separate from your job, your home, parenting your kids, like anything that's just yours. What can you do? Think about something that you've always wanted to do. How can you incorporate that once a month in your life? Think about it. I really want you to take some time to really think about that. Journal on it. Journal, what are some things that if you had more time in your life and there were no restrictions, there were no requirements or prerequisites, what would you do? Really think about that. And I want to say one other thing before we close. Many of you know that I work part-time for a digital health company supporting family caregivers. And I listen to a lot of stories every day about people who are really struggling, and they struggle because they have no time for themselves. They are dealing with some really hard stuff. And if that's you, I want you to know, I see you. You're not alone. I want to also acknowledge that it feels impossible to find time for you when you're stretched so thin. And that's why I want to just encourage you that you have 5 minutes. We all have 5 minutes. If we could find 5 minutes, whether it's getting up early. And I used to do this, well, I still do this now, but when my kids were little, I would always try to get up early before them so that I can wake up and have my coffee and have my quiet me time before they got up. Because once they were up, chaos ensued. And I know that as a caregiver, if you're caring for loved ones, if you're caring for parents, depending on your circumstances, sometimes like once you get up, it's all you're doing. So really just trying to find 5 minutes for you, whether it's sitting outside for 5 minutes, asking for help if there's anyone that can come and stay with your loved one for an hour, taking an afternoon each month where you can go do something just for you, listening to something as you're doing like household chores, whether it's music, a podcast, that You're Not Crazy, It's Perimenopause podcast, whatever it is, something that you enjoy so that you are at least getting some time to you. Going for a 10-minute walk, saying no to things. That's the hardest part, I think, for so many of us, is to be able to say no when we really want to say no, but we don't want to hurt feelings. We don't want to step on toes. We don't want to upset anyone. And you know what, ladies? This is the era in perimenopause where we got to start saying no to more people and start saying yes to us. If that means going to bed early, nope, I don't want to go out tonight because I want to go to bed. I'm tired. Nope, I'm not doing your laundry. You're 17 years old. You should do it yourself. Whatever it is, what can you say no to that you're not, and that you're not going to feel guilty about it? Okay, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you for listening to this episode. I can't change my mom's story. Her story is hers, and I can't speak for her, but I can, like I had mentioned, I can certainly have my assumptions of kind of what she had gone through before she passed away. Maybe somebody listening today can begin writing a different story. Remember, if you don't care for yourself, it's going to show up in a way that is going to be uncomfortable and cause you more headache and concern. So what are some things that you can do to care for yourself and nurture yourself so your body does not develop disease? I'm going to leave you with some reflection questions that I'd like you to really think about and answer them, in a journal. Spend some time really thinking about this. When was the last time you did something just because you enjoyed it? What dream have you quietly put on a shelf? What fills your cup? What brings you joy? And what is one small thing you can do this week that's just for you? And if you need me to hold you accountable, message me. You can send me an email at health@jensmith.coach or message me on Instagram at JennyAZ_simple. Let me know what you decide to do for yourself this week. All right, ladies. That's all I have today. Thank you so much for tuning in and for listening to this podcast and supporting this podcast. Thank you for sharing it with your friends. I get messages on Instagram that the podcast episodes have been shared with them, and that means so much to me. I feel like this podcast fills my cup. It brings me so much joy. Running a business, as you all know, I'm a health coach, and there's a lot that goes into a business. And I have to say that I started this podcast in March, and it has by far been the best thing that I've done, that I've loved. I can't wait to record an episode. I love bringing on guests on the show to be able to share their expertise and their wisdom with all of you as we're all navigating aging, perimenopause, postmenopausal, you know what I mean. As we're all, aging and entering into perimenopause, lots of things are happening for us, lots of changes that we're experiencing. And just remember that, we have this one life, and how we choose to live it is entirely up to us. And what are we going to do to take care of ourselves? What's one thing that we can do every day? One small thing, 5 minutes every day to take care of ourselves. All right, ladies, thank you again so much for being here, and I will see you next week.